All right, so this video is going to show you a few tips for your back squat. So getting set up, taking it off the rack, getting into position, and a few things to be mindful of when you're actually doing the exercise. So the first thing is that you want your hooks to be set up slightly below shoulder height. You don't want to have to come up on your tippy toes to get underneath the weight, especially as the weight gets heavier, because you don't want to be in any kind of weak or vulnerable or compromised position when you're under heavy weight. So make sure that it's lining up about like this. If you're kind of in between two settings, I'd rather have you go on the one lower because it's easier to get down under it than it is to stand up underneath it. So that's the first thing. The next thing is so my rack is just has these uprights. Your rack might be more of a cage where you have basically 4 of these and you could squat within it. If that's the case, you should have the option to have these big metal bars that go within the cage. Those are like safety bars, and that would mean, so if you get down and can't get back up again, you would just let the barbell rest on those uprights and you could stand up without it and you wouldn't make a big noise or something. So that depends on your gym setup. But regardless, this is about as basic as the rack comes. When you get yourself into position, you want your hands to be just outside. This is called knurling. Can you get a little closer to show that? So you want your hands just on the outside here, and you want to wrap your thumbs around it. You want to get a good firm grip, and then you're going to come underneath. You want to really make kind of a shelf with your traps and with your shoulders. So you see kind of how this muscle here, when it's contracted, makes kind of a shelf. That's where you're going to rest your barbell. So you're going to get tight as you get into position, and you want to keep your back in alignment and your butt tucked. You don't want to be getting into position like this with your butt sticking out. So you want to try to stay upright with your legs underneath you. So hands into position, I take a step, I duck underneath it, I make that shelf, I kind of tuck my butt underneath me, and then I can stand it up. So you only want to take like one step back really to get yourself into position, because as the weight gets heavier, the longer it's on your back without you doing anything with it, the more fatigued you're going to get. So you're in position here, you want to look straight in front of you, try to keep your elbows underneath you. You're going to drop down, drive your knees out to the side, try to get your knees below, your hips below your knee crease, and then drive chest first up to upright. Take a big inhale at the top, sit down in between your knees, drive up to the center of that foot. To take it back in, you take your step forward, feel both sides hit the uprights, and then back down onto the pins. So a couple things to look out for when you're squatting. You want to make sure that you're not up on your toes. You don't want to be squatting like this where your heels are elevated. All right, so you want to make sure that you should be really putting your weight mid-foot, but sometimes it's easier to think about driving your weight through your heels. That way you're staying more upright. So that's one thing, make sure your whole foot is planted. You want your chest to be upright. Something that we see a lot is you start to fold forward, especially as that heavy weight is on your back. Sometimes people start to fold forward so that when you get down here, now you're like this, and it's much harder to stand up when you're tipped that far forward. So making sure that you're staying upright with your torso, and that's where it can help to, when you're down here, think about trying to split the floor apart in between your feet, keeping your chest up and driving straight up from there. Squeeze your butt at the top, take breath as you need to, and then go back down. You're going to inhale before you lift, you're going to hold it, and you're exhaling as you exert. I guess that's about it for this video. If I think of any other tips, they'll be in a separate video.